come to the remaining text of the book, Flamingo First Lesson. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so happy to carry my grammar and my history of the saints, were old friends now that I could not give up. And M. Hamel too, the idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Cranky stands for an eccentric person, a mad person. Teachers who punish students, they are almost supposed and classified by students as cranky and mad. M. Hamel was also such a teacher, as used to punish students. He used to have a stick in his hand. That's why students classified him as cranky. No matter. French, the narrator, tells us here that the books of history and grammar were always a big burden for him. But now those books had become a friend for him. M. Hamel was an eccentric person for him, but now he had become a respectable and lovable person for him. Why? Because he had come to know that it was the last lesson of French language and it was the last class to be attended by M. Hamel. He would no longer be able to see M. Hamel here because he was also going away after the last class. Poor man, it was in honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes, and now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back of the room. Now, narrator French tells us here that he came to understand every reason why villagers were sitting there to attend the class, why M. Hamel was wearing the best cloth. All those reasons were clear to him. It was the last lesson, that's why everybody was attending the class, and M. Hamel too was wearing his best cloth. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. It was their way of thanking to our master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. It was just a kind of way to provide respect to M. Hamel. To that M. Hamel who had paid his service in that school for almost 40 years. And the villagers hadn't paid attention to his words. That's why in the last class they all were sitting there to attend the last class of French lesson by M. Hamel because they wanted to pay their regards to M. Hamel for his great effort for French language. While I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite. What would I not have given to be able to say that dreadful rule for the participle all through very loud and clear and without one mistake? But I got mixed up on the first words and stood there holding on to my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up. Now, French was just thinking about this much only, and in the meanwhile, his teacher M. Hamel called his name. French, stand up. Now it was turn of French to recite the homework. So he had already been given a homework on the rules of participles, and now French was willing to tell the rules of participles. He had a great wish in his heart that it was the last lesson attended by M. Hamel, and he should be able to explain all the rules given to him as homework. But there was a big problem. He hadn't studied, he hadn't done the homework. That's why when he got up to speak, he got mixed up on the first word only, and he remained standing. His heart was beating. He was under a great fear. He could not speak even a word about on the rules of participles. I heard M. Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little French. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, bah, I have plenty of time. Now M. Hamel didn't scold him. He just started giving a lecture on that topic. He told everyone that everybody was thinking that they had plenty of time to learn French language, and now the time to learn was over. I'll learn it tomorrow. Everybody used to say that they would learn it the next day. And now you see where we have come out. That's the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. M. Hamel told everyone that it was a common problem among the people of Alsace, that was in France, that they did not learn the things on the spot. They learned the things by putting it off for the next day. Now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, how is it you pretend to be Frenchmen and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language? Now M. Hamel explained to others regarding the seriousness of learning one's mother tongue. that people coming from outside would always be in the capacity to question French people. Why did they call themselves French people? They didn't know how to write French language. They didn't know how to speak French language. Why did they call themselves French people? This would be a normal question by the people coming from outside. But you are not the worst, poor little French. We have all a great deal to reproach ourselves with. Now, M. Hamel again turned the dialogue, and he told especially French that French was not only mistaken person. All of them had some particular mistakes in them. That's why only French was not responsible for that. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. Now, M. Hamel started speaking in an ironical tone. He is taunting them all. Why they could not study? He ironically says to them that their parents had not allowed them to come to school regularly. Rather, they preferred to send them to work on a farm or at the mills. And I have been to blame, so have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? M. Hamel again, he was just scolding everyone in a very moral way. He says that he had often ordered them to water his flowers rather than study in the class. And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday? And I will further added. And whenever he had to go to do fishing, he used to give holiday to all the students. He says like that. By the way, in reality, he didn't do so. Then from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest, the most logical, that we must guard it among us and never forget it, because when we people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. After that, M. Hamel went on speaking one after another, and better logics he kept on giving on the importance of French language. And he also gave an idea, as long as people have hold upon their mother tongue, they have a key to their freedom. Otherwise, slavery will remain permanent because of the absence of mother tongue. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. After that, M. Hamel opened a grammar book and started reading a lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. All he said seemed so easy. I think too that I had never listened so carefully and that he had never explained everything with so much patience. It seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away and to put it all into our heads at one stroke. Now, since it was the last lesson, since it was the final period of French language, since it was the last lecture by M. Hamel, everybody was listening to him very much attentively. And French also understood everything. French expresses his feelings that he understood everything in the clearest way, and he felt that M. Hamel too was willing to give everything he had. The teacher was also the most dedicated one that day. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing that day. M. Hamel had new copies for us, written in a beautiful round hand, France, Alsace, France, Alsace. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the school room, hung from the rod at the top of our desks. Now you see, that very day, everybody was having a special kind of book, on the cover of which book France and Alsace was written. And this book in the hand of everyone looked like the flags in the hands of French people. You ought to have seen how everyone sat to work and how quiet it was. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest ones, who worked right on tracing their fish hooks as if that was French too. Noise. Nobody in the classroom was making any kind of noise. Everybody was just listening to each and every word spoken by M. Hamel. There was no sound in the class. Only one sound that came in the class was of using pen and paper in the classroom. Once a beetle stands for Bhora. A beetle came there and it, hovered there in the class, but nobody paid attention to it. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German? Even the pigeons. You see, another interesting thing that is given here. On the roof of the school, some pigeons were cooing there. Pigeons were, producing their voice. And French started feeling, okay, German government, uh, German government was going to impose German language upon the people of France, especially Alsace and Lorraine. Will they be able to impose their German language upon pigeons too? It means birds are not enslaved by anybody. Human beings can control human beings can impose their language upon human beings only. They can't impose their language upon birds like pigeons. Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing first at one thing, then at another thing. Whenever the narrator French looked up from his writing, he saw that M. Hamel was sitting motionlessly in his chair and gazing first at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. M. Hamel was also very much troubled. He was feeling totally uncomfortable. He was looking into every nook and corner of the school classroom. Fancy, let us imagine. For 40 years he had been there in the same place with his garden outside the window and his class in front of him. Just like that. Let us try to understand very seriously. A person who had paid the service in that school for 40 years. A person who had lived there for 40 years. Now the person had to leave that school. How could it be possible for him to go without emotions? Only the desks and benches had been worn smooth, the walnut tree in the garden were taller, and the hop vine that he had planted himself twined about the windows to the roof. Now you see, in those 40 years, the benches, which were rough in the beginning, they had turned quite smooth. And the plants like walnut tree and hop vine, they had also become very tall. How it must have broken his heart to leave it all, poor man, to hear his sister moving about in the room, ever packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. Now, M. Hamel was sitting there waiting for everything to be packed by his sister. His sister was packing the trunks. Trunks stands for safe case, that you call attache. So, M. Hamel's sister was packing everything, and the sound of packing was reaching the ears of M. Hamel. How the person must be, feeling them. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the baby chanted their B A B E B E B O B U like that. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles and holding his primer in both hands spelled the letters with them. Now you see, M. Hamel was very courageous person. He had a great patience too. He had a great patience to listen to everything, and that's why he was listening everything very much properly. Children were chanting their lessons, and old Hauser was also sitting there with his spectacles and holding his alphabet book. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. Ah, how well I remember it, that last lesson. It was the time for the last lesson, it was the last lecture, and everybody was quite emotional there. All at once the church clock struck 12, then the Angelus. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians returning from Dill sounded under our windows. M. Hamel stood up very pale in his chair. I never saw him look so tall. Now you see, the church bell, rang there. It was the time, a fixed time for ringing the bell. And at the same moment, Prussian soldiers who were, making drill practice, they also, rang their bell. M. Hamel stood up there. He was looking completely unenergetic and uncomfortable, disappointed, and sad. He was looking very much tall. My friends, said he. Aye, but something choked him. He could not go on. M. Hamel stood up for his final statement, but he could not speak. His throat was choked. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his might, he wrote as large as he could. Then he took a piece of chalk and went there to the blackboard, and he wrote there, Vive la France. Vive la France stands for Long Live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed, you may go. M. Hamel after that, supported himself by the head against the wall, and without speaking a word he just waved his hands with a gesture to all of them, he said goodbye. He did not speak goodbye, he just said with his hands goodbye. And he finally said, school is dismissed, you may go. In this way, the last lesson ends here, because the people did not realize the importance of their mother tongue, and the teacher who, what to say, stayed there in that school for almost 40 years, he tried his best to give them lessons on French language, but they did not pay attention to that. And now, when it was the time for leaving the school, the teacher completed his duty by attending the last lecture in a very effective way. People were sitting there, French, a narrator was sitting there. He expresses his feeling, how sad, how uncomfortable he was when it was the time to realize that French language would no longer be taught in that school. And more painful was that his teacher M. Hamel would no longer be with them in that school. So now we should understand, the moral of the lesson is that we realize the value of things when the things have gone from us. And till the things we have in our hands, we don't realize their value. So this is the moral of the lesson. We should realize the value of the things till they are in our hands. Thank you very much.